Hello, 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 and welcome to another one line of code. Happy Friday to you all. Hello, Disco. How are you doing on this fantastic Friday? Today is Friday, and on our channel, that means it is Community Day. And Community Day means that I need to get the stream room open. There we go. Got it up. And what am I missing? Virtual camera. Start the camera. There we go. Okay, so Community Day on our channel means that I open up a Discord voice channel for any of you in our community that want to hop into a voice channel and have a vocal conversation about whatever topics you feel like talking about that are technology related, Blazor related, .NET related, something, related to the stream as well. Not just any topic. I know that I've been, I've in the past allowed just about any topic, but that bit me. So we're going to try to keep it more focused on .NET and programming and software and things that I do on this channel with you guys. If you don't feel like using your voice, then you can always chat. Use the chat window, and I will be paying attention to chat more. And if you have demos and samples of stuff that you want us to look at, that you want to show off, which is not a bad thing at all. Show off is a good word on this channel. So just let me know. We'll take a look at it. If you have questions about stuff that you're working on that you would like answers for, if you have answers for questions that I am working on, definitely open for those. But anyway, unless we get people that are interested in doing Community Day related activities, all that I'm going to be doing is what I mentioned on Wednesday. Yes, Dukasoft and hi. Is creating more variants on this card component. And again, I don't know if I'm approaching this whole card thing correctly. One thing that I realized is I think that I would want the cards headers to be H3 instead. And I guess I can do header and footer. And actually, no, footer, I think I want those to be regular. Normal font size. So that'll be fun to do. But anyway, I'll just work on this, but I'll keep my eye on chat. Turn off, please. I'll keep my eye on chat in case anyone has anything to discuss. And then we will switch to that immediately. But phone lines are open. Call now. Mojo's here. Hello, Mojo. Interesting. How do can I not actually set, I selected the frame and not the actual text component. Dang it. I don't know if these are called components or objects in Figma. My inkling is object, because components are a specific thing that we're going to be turning these into, which are reusable sets of UI stuff. Hello, Mojo. It says Dukasoft. Okay, now can I choose? Yes, I can. Let's choose H3. Medium viewport, H3s. We like that. I prefer H3 headers and cards anyway, because cards usually, well, I don't know, cards are usually at the second level, but at least for our design, the size that we want it to look like is a H2, when we or a H3, when we implement this, the actual tag that we're going to use is going to be specific to where it actually is in a document. So we would want to implement this UI using, there's the hair thing. I closed card 2. I closed my eyes and that made my head start itching while I was trying to describe this. I'm really wanting to figure out what the trigger is and if I could stop it. Although it does feel nice. Not gonna lie. Like how that feels. Anyway, we are going to, when we do the UI implementation of this, we're going to try using semantic HTML. And it's not really UI implementation because the UI is already all here. It's going to be more improvement to the UI. But most of this should just be CSS style updates because I'm creating components based off of what already exists in the app. Haircut needed to stop the hand. It's so weird. It's interesting to observe, but I don't know if I want to actually do anything about it. It's just, it felt weird watching the video back where the main thing that I did throughout the entire video, and I was just skipping through portions, but in just about every place that I skipped to, my hand was up here or up here or here. I do this a lot. This. Good times though. I just wanted to find a still like the one that you found, Dukasoft, that you put into the burrito. It was really hard to find that so that I could get the full headshot. Okay, so the footer on all these is going to be regular size text. Regular, which is called global default. Probably not. I don't know. I really don't know. Like, when would a footer actually use text? When the footer is a link, typically? On a card specifically. Guess I was lucky. Yeah, I couldn't find anything close to it, and it was just like the perfect expression. It was very... Why am I in a burrito? Very concerned. So yeah, when we do, how am I gonna do that? It's almost like I would want a footer style or hello, Komitarka. Go. But anyway, it's community day, like I said. So if you do have any topics you want to discuss, let me know and I will switch to that. But right now I'm going to try braining a little bit of this. I think, therefore, eat spam. I like how you said my name with the Spanish R. I can't help it. Both my parents are Spanish. I grew up in a Spanish house, except I didn't have to speak a Spanish. So I have a very American accent, a very Midwest accent at that. Okay, what do I think? I think you look like Captain Crunch. We're gonna have a thing called footer style, and that footer style is going to be footer style text, which is what we currently have here. We're gonna have footer style single button, and then we would need some styles on that button so that we can do oh my gosh, how do people do this? All right, let's create a button component real quick. Spanish is a language that sounds so good. It depends. It can sound like super duper lazy. Yeah. But yes, Spanish is a Romance language, which means many people would prefer to hear it. Okay, we're gonna create a button. We're gonna put you inside of a frame. Is there a hotkey to frame selection? Control Alt G. Okay. Maybe we can just borrow someone else's buttons. Mind if I borrow your buttons? My mother tongue is French, so Spanish is close to our tongue. Yeah. Back to files. Developer templates, async stand-up. What is an async stand-up? Where everyone does their stand-up at the same time? And then it only goes for 2 minutes? Unless someone has a blocker? I would like to search web components. Not from my stuff, from everybody who has a public web components of some sort. Hey, that worked. How do I search everywhere? All organizations, external teams. Let's just go to figma.com and see if there's a way to, as I hit Shift Enter. Delete it. Delete it, and it takes me back to here. Son of a. Is there like no actual? Oh, here we go. Okay, so web components. How about just web? Website framework. Do you have good buttons? What do your buttons look like? Oh. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I mean, they're really simple and it doesn't, it is a component. Oh, but it only has a light and dark mode, and that's it. I was hoping for something a little more, you know, like a button that has text, icon, text and icon, icon on the left, icon on the right. Dusoff says, how does pay work in the US when you have no education in the field you want to work in? Dev job but self-taught, or any IT job? Is it lower than the minimum pay if you had an education in the field? It's I think the thing that matters the most is experience. So it doesn't have to be education experience. It just has to be experience. And it's really weird. I don't necessarily agree with this approach, but experience is still more work related. So have you done it in a professional capacity, as opposed to how long have you personally been exposed to that technology? How much effort have you put into learning that technology? What is your current skill level with that technology? Or whatever else it happens to be. So, are you actually really good at that? And we won't know that. Mouse, what happened to my mouse? Am I laggy? You know what? My mouse probably died. No, it's still alive. But anyway, so it's based off of experience and the position's title that you're getting hired into. This is really, I haven't cleaned up the trackball in a while. But the other thing is, like when they say 4 years of experience for a junior developer position, what they're really saying is a bachelor's degree. And sometimes work experience can be substituted for education, but again, it's still experience in the field. Okay, I see a really big yucky inside of my mouth, so I need to step away for a really quick second to get a can of air and clean this out. I can't switch to my AFK screen, so I'll be right back. I almost shot my eye out. Water. Water. Must has. Massa 1. We missed you, Mouse. As I vanish and reappear from nowhere. Excuse me, can we pause this? Thank you. But yes, it is Community Day. So, Discord chat room or voice channels are open. Or anyway, if you would like to join a voice channel, then hop into any of the voice channels in Discord, and I'll pull you into the stream channel. Keep in mind that I post, oh my goodness, stairs, am I right? I post a recording of the video to YouTube for posterity reasons. So if you're not comfortable with that, then please continue. Feel free to continue using tacos. Because you can. Oh no, I like 2 better than 3. Okay, our button has text. That text will be centered by default because that's how buttons work. Oops, except that I pushed the wrong center. And this is going to center all around, left and right, top and bottom. Text itself is going to be there. Global default, center horizontally, button. Okay. And so our default button size. No. You also need to be left and right, top and bottom. Our default button size is going to be right here. I don't know, what's a good button ratio? Web UI. Button default padding. No, I don't want to remove default padding. So I need some guidance. A guide to creating buttons. Manage cookies. I reject all, except for the necessary ones. So we get corner radius, color, away from Europe. Or gradient, padding left and right, padding top and bottom, outer margin, and text size and weight. Sumimasen. Nobody asked you. And then a shadow if you have a shadow. We're going with a flat button for now, but we may add 3D buttons and neumorphic buttons. Well, I guess neumorphic is a subset of 3D, but you know what I mean. And then we get the states. So anyway, let's just try to visually match this. Oh, never mind. They're giving us some what's this called? Measurements. So 46 in height. They're not giving us a horizontal measurement, but that's fine. We can compare. So let's go with Jiminy, how many things do I have open? $46, really? Oh, but this is extra large button. So it kind of looked like the button text also changes in size based off of the size of the button. No. Mouse without borders strikes again. Thank you. I need you to go over here now. Arigato. And now I'm lost. Okay. Man, it's pretty wide, isn't it? What are you? A frame? Random frame out in the middle of nowhere. Wonder if button size and pixel is a good idea if you use rems for text. The actual size will be in ems rems. Most likely ems. Yeah, because we would want it to be specific to the component that it's in. Maybe. We'll find out. M&M's. And hello, good VJ. Happy Friday to you. How's it gone? Where did it gone? Actually, I'm going to put the word primary in here just to one-to-one compare. Ish. Or button text is what I said. Button text. Okay, so that doesn't look too bad. Give us 100%, please. And this picture is probably scaled. That's not a 44 pix tall button. Dang it. What do you think? Do these two have two different text sizes? I think they do. What is microcopy? Button copy should be concise and clearly describe what the user can expect when they interact with it. Button copy. That's an interesting phrase. I've never heard that before. Anyway, we'll create 2 buttons. And we'll make this one 36 pix. Like so. And we'll make this one 32 pix. Oh no. Why? Why are you jumping from... Oh, Alt? I thought Alt needed to be... But still, it's jumping right over 32. Dang it, I don't want to do the math myself. All right, how about this? Let's start here, and then let's go down to 32, and maybe you won't snap. Yay! Do that math and the sizing. No thanks. I refuse. I refuse. Oh, wait. Wait, as in you can put math formulas in here? Is that what? Okay, so let's say that I actually want this to be 3 times taller. Then I want you to be, you can. But then I'd need to come up with the formula. And what is the formula for ratio sizing? Oh, you locked the ratio. I could have just done that and then told it to go to 32. Actually, I don't really want them to be locked. Not when you're actually using them. Okay, anyway, thank you. Thank you for the suggestion. I like it. I like it a lot. I appreciate the help. All right, button text for smallest is going to be, let's make you caption. Oh, geez. Oh yeah, and the other thing is, it kind of looks like the font is bolded on a button. Bold. And so if you, oh geez, except that I don't have wow. Would I really have to do that if I wanted, if I wanted a bold version of all of these, then I would have to, you know, oh man, I was not thinking about that, was I? I'd have to create styles, named styles for the bold versions and underlined versions if I wanted to use them as actual referenced styles, so that if I change something about the style, it would affect everything that uses that style. All right, Mojo, enjoy the store. It's so refreshing to be here and slammed with work. Ha! Yeah, use design libraries. People have already done this. We're creating our own. That's the thing. Because I want to get good and not slammed with work. I don't know. You could enjoy having both, so I didn't want to make assumptions. Actually, maybe I did want to make assumptions. What about it? Dang, and I have to go in and modify these manually. Because typically header font is bolded. I gotta put a capital. H4. Why aren't you auto closing these? Dang it. H5. I've got 3 UX books on my desk. I don't know if I'd be able to do books. So tell me, what is your font weight? It's not even a, like 600 is bold. I'm pretty sure 600 is what the default bold is. Let's do bold. Computed. Font weight. 700 is bold. And there is no such thing as semi-bold. But it's at 500, man. 500. Why's it gotta be some weird number like that, interwebs? So I think we'll make them semi-bold. It really bites, man. Is there a better way to edit these? Jigsaw says, I've got my first dictionary on my desk. Thanks, kids. And it's a book called My First Dictionary. Or is it your actual first dictionary? Because that'd be funny. It's my best translation of the book name. Got it. Here's my favorite book in the world. P is for pterodactyl. Best book ever. Like, A is for ether. Oh, A is for isle. And H is for air. What? Learn why Y is not for Y, and U is not for U, but V is for Vive, and Z is for Czar. Yes. Oh, man. I don't know what I'm doing. Who knows what I'm doing? Nobody, that's who. Man, don't nobody know what you're doing. Okay, semi-bold, semi-bold. Gotta be a better way to do this. Those are captions. Semi-bold. I've already lost a plot. You. Semi-bold. This is the book. This one's the book. Mean. I don't know how to pronounce this letter. I mean this character. Forste. Arbog. Arbog. I don't know how to pronounce this. I'm sorry. Pretty good, he says. Yeah. Doubtful. But thank you for the enthusiasm and the encouragement. I'm not paying attention. But you know who can pronounce it? Can you actually type out the name? Because I don't know how to get that symbol, how to get that character. Thank you. Here we go.
Min første ordbog.
Første. Første. Første.
Min første ordbog.
Første. Første.
Min første ordbog.
Første.
Min første ordbog.
Første. Første. That is a really hard character utterance. Første.
Min første ordbog.
Første ordbog. Wow. That's really difficult to pronounce. There it goes again. I appreciate the enthusiasm. I felt myself really struggling with that one. Oops. Excuse me, why are you suddenly italicized? Did I tell you to do semi-italicized somehow? Semi-bold italic, yes. Oh, I am good. Nope. 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 You're watching a game show called Nope Commerce. Just nope. Speaking of Nope Commerce, tonight, at least night in the US, Captain Commerce will be streaming, or typically streams on Friday nights. Feel free to join him. Amazing guy. Really chill, really fun. He's a fun guy. If you aren't already following him, feel free to do so there. I have put a thingy up there for you to click on. And he's a .NET developer working on not commerce, but he's also doing other Blazor exploration, other .NET types of exploration stuff. I have not been able to catch his stream lately, but I typically have him at least running. Hello, Max. Happy Friday Day. Hello, hiya, hello. Hi. Hello. See me not paying attention to what I'm doing still? But that's fine, because I'm paying attention to you. That's right, you. I have programmed this week Game of Life. Cool. Yeah. Do you understand the concepts of Game of Life now that you have programmed it, or is it still a mystery? And what kinds of things that can help you do? Because like one of the things that I know is that if you understand the game of life, you can understand anything. Like 42, for example. At least that's what I've heard. Could be wrong. Yes, 42. Or 1111, which is what my phone just told me. Awesome. I need to close that. And we all know what 1111 means. Because like I have no clue what you're talking about. That's okay. It doesn't matter. Yeah, 42 is the meaning of life. So I've just programmed a 1000 pixel by 1000 pixel box with cubes that are reacting to each other. So if box 1 has a neighbor, then they create a new box, that kind of stuff. I don't know the rules off the top of my head. I have to look it up every time. I just told you, it's the meaning of life. Ask Google. Maybe Google gives you a straight answer instead of the widely accepted answer. In 1942, apparently. Okay. The ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything. Sorry. So, it's not the question, what is the meaning of life? It's probably, what is the word that I'm looking for? Anyway, it's just a misquote. Where, what is the meaning of life? 42. But it's really, what is the actual quote for this then? I don't know what the actual quote is. Doesn't matter. It's just the answer to life, the universe, and everything. The end. Oh, there it is. The answer to life, the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is 42. And there you go. So meaningful, so useful, so helpful. These don't look great. It's just from a novel, a book, and movie, book made movie. Okay. think I need to make styles for caption bold and caption small bold. Do these need to be semi-bold though? I don't like them as bold. Okay, what's even cooler than Game of Life is speedrun yesterday Minecraft in 1.5 hours. What does that look like? What does a speedrun of Minecraft mean? I don't play the game, I don't know much about it. What would a speedrun of a game like that look like? 42 is the answer. What's the question? Nice. Thank you, Marcus Voice Coder. So there is actually a progression in Minecraft where you're supposed to go from having nothing to fighting an end boss. And when you kill the end boss, that is completing the game. I thought it was just a game that went on forever where you collect resources. More MMO-ish, I guess, where you collect resources and you build stuff and you keep that stuff protected. Oh, okay. So it is still like that. It's just end game content, which is after you've defeated the Ender Dragon, you can keep playing and keep building. Very cool stuff. I now know a little bit more about Minecraft, but not much. I'm kidding. That was a lot. I know everything there is to know about it now. Caption medium. That's where I'm trying to go. Caption medium, and make you caption small. Not on large viewport. Caption small on medium viewport. No, and then you have to select the text to do that because I went into the text. Caption small. That looks too small. Oh man, this is I'm not good at this. I don't have thoughts. I don't know what to do. Let's just do Control B so that it unlinks. Change the font size to semi-bold. Same thing for you. Semi-bold. Semi-bold. And then we will say that we're going to name you global default semi-bold. What just happened? Why did that go away? No. I think I broke it. Global default semi-bold. Anyway, so yes, any other news? Max or anybody? Anything else going on? Call this one caption semi-bold. Oh, except that this one now needs to be called caption medium viewport semi-bold. I don't like that one bit. We started the process of migrating our monolith at work. Migrating it to, like, do you guys have a named structure that you're trying to go to? It's like, I'm not really big on knowing the names of architectures. I'm guessing that meant to say microservices. Yeah, it did. By starting, I mean sitting on our hands. Oh man. small, medium, viewport, and bold. Okay, we have some buttons. I'm just going to use medium viewport for everything for now. It's going to be a lot of work. Gosh, we're going to need the background color for primary, secondary, warning. Oops. Go back where you belong. Actually, can I left align? I don't want to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. Dang it. All right, what is our primary? Our primary is going to be some button color. That is going to be our primary button color. At the moment, our primary button color is this light text CBC. And do we have that anywhere in here? Colors. See all 39 colors. No, of course not. It's just some random color I decided on. No. Yes, I understand. I get it. I will do my best to assume into it what your actual meaning was and try not to call out the autocorrect mistakes, because they're not your mistakes, they're autocorrect's mistakes. Okay, so for all of you, your background colors for rectangles are going to be CBC, and then we're going to name it as button, nope, yeah, maybe button primary, and that should probably be named maybe something more like button background primary, button primary background. And then the text color, East. We're breaking up pieces of our app into various microservices to allow for better scaling. I'm back in my computer. Welcome back. That was a really quick store run. Holy cow. That's really cool. I really want us to do that a little bit better than we are. I think I've said this before, but for the work product for the team that I work on, we have one repository that is full of a whole bunch of what would be considered microservices, essentially. Let's say we had a tool that did some diagnostics on your video card. That tool itself is its own project in that solution, in a solution in that repository. Same with like maybe something that'll test your sound card or something that'll test your CPU. So those kinds of things. All of those are their own CS projects. They generate their own NuGet packages, and those can be used in other applications that support .NET, whatever we built it on. Maybe the city. Oh, I could do that too. Even the space vertically. Thank you. I just did that manually. Okay, so we have an extra large button. no spaces. I found this out. If you put spaces, it doesn't pick it up as a property. Extra large. Button. Large. Button. Small. And primary for all of these too. Primary. Might hop in Discord in a second. Okay, it's open. It is absolutely open. Let me know when you get into one of the voice channels. I'll try to keep my eye open for it. But you did say that you would like to discuss more of the development process, which I am open for. Absolutely. Background. Background. Yeah, this really sucks. So creating buttons you'd think was kind of easy, but there are 5 states per button, 4 states per button. So our current state is default. And then before I duplicate this to make our next set, is there any other thought? Do I have any other thoughts? Or any other properties that I would want to customize? Right, whether it has an icon or not. And then in that case, I would want an icons component, which we haven't consolidated all of our icons anywhere yet. Oh my goodness, there's so much mess with this. And this is why UI designers should get more credit than they do. Like there's a lot of work that goes into this. A lot of work, a lot of artistic ability, and it doesn't even have to be like, you know, you can draw or anything, but you know how to compose things, you know how to put these elements together in a pleasing, appealing way. What? Okay. So our next set of stuff is going to be how do you make a shape from SVG? Do I just drag and drop the SVG in? Because I need to be able to put the SVG from code, not the actual picture. Oh, are you ready, Mojo? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Spin around. Thumbs facing inward. Okay, so you can mute your stream sound. I should be coming through in Discord. And if you can do a mic check, please.
Mic check.
Your mic is checked. One more time.
Mic.
You're a little quiet, so I will turn you up.
Oh. I mean, I can shout.
Whoa, please don't. I refuse.
Let it all out.
All right, I got you at the same level that I'm at, I think. Maybe a little louder.
Heck yeah. Let me know if there's background noise. There shouldn't be. This mic does pretty well, but
not much background noise, just a little crackliness.
Oh, that's not fun.
Like, what is your gain at? Your personal. Oh no, I just messed up.
Like me personally?
Yeah, you know. You're human.
I'm just using my AirPods on my MacBook.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's anything you need to do to change that, but what's happening, at least on my meter, is your loudest volume of your voice itself will peak
Uh-huh.
and it'll stay at that, so that anywhere from maybe 3/4 all the way to the loudest voice to your loudest voice is at the same level. It just turns
Oh,
into crackly. But anyway, doesn't matter. Let's talk.
okay.
We can still hear you
We're
and
talking.
understand you.
That, and I kind of lost my voice. I did karaoke over the weekend, and
Yes, I love karaoke.
yeah, that'll do it.
Were you at an actual
I mean,
karaoke bar, or do you use
yes.
an app? Oh, awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, it was one of my good friend's wedding, and then right after the wedding, we went to karaoke, and it's just a great time.
Yes, absolutely. Take me out now, karaoke. But anyway,
My I don't know how to ask my questions because they're just so, like, I know other people have like dysfunctional happenings at work, or team dynamics.
oh, okay. Mhm.
But like we're starting on talking about this migration. However,
Yes.
we're we're being told to get started on like modeling up the data, but we don't have a full list of requirements. There's no project management going on. I mean, I can keep going, but those are like the top things that are probably like the
Lockers.
starting requirements, and we haven't fully decided on if we should make just take what we have today and convert it into microservices, or build out some features that we know will just enhance the user experience and the product. But those would be, if we do those iteratively, they're going to be huge data model changes. And how would that be migrated if we don't? Well, yeah, I don't even know how to really ask it. It's like, if if we know that within the next 6 months, we need to get 6 months, is what I said, I think. We need to get something. We need to basically have our platforms that we currently have today in a more cloud native architecture. But we know there are going to be changes after that 6 month requirement that's going to just change how the data model is set up. Should we account for that now, later?
And the answer is do it all at the same time now. Let me just say hi to Irish John Games really, really quick. If you guys don't know Irish John Games, he is a game developer of this fantastic game that is now being published by Microprose, officially starting last Thursday, or 2 Thursdays ago now, I guess. Unofficially sometime around February, I think is what I heard you say. And so he is the feature. If you go to microprose.com right now, he is on their main page, biggest splash screen. Definitely check out his game. Head over to Steam, wishlist it, etc. Okay, so your back to Mojo. So your question is all about how exactly do we do this migration from monolith app to microservices. Should we start integrating some of our data changes, because the data models are going to be changing, like you said, and do it all at the same time? No. The whole point behind migrating to microservices is that you don't break existing functionality while you're doing it. So it's really trying to find some way to extract portions of your code and put them in separate libraries and have that functionality behave exactly the same way it would. So I wouldn't start restructuring like the data. Maybe you can do some refactoring as you're moving code into the separate libraries, but the whole point is make sure the app still functions the same way that it's supposed to function as you're taking some chunks of code, putting them in separate libraries. So that's where I would start.
If I understand your answer correctly, does that mean like also deploy these changes over time rather than like, say in 6 months, do the like just a big shift and just go from A to B?
Right, exactly. Yeah, because what would happen in that case is, let's say the customer has a requirement that says, we would like to see this new feature in your next release, or we have these issues that are currently happening that we want fixed. So you'll have your migration process on one side and then these bug fixes and feature additions on the other side. And now you have loss of, we adjusted this component here, which has already been turned into a microservice or is in the process of being turned into a microservice. So we need to update that one as well. As opposed to, well, we already turned that thing into a microservice. We've deployed that version of it. And so now we only need to update that microservice part of it.
With like big, so okay, that makes sense. However, with the like core features, or for the features that would be added, or like the next product we develop, essentially that's going to utilize some of the same components. What I don't even trying to figure out how to ask it. So like say like the way like a user is handled is going to be completely different. And user's a bad example. I truly mean an assignment, essentially just like instead of an assignment being put into a course, the assignment lives in its own, repository is not the right word, but like essentially just like a repository.
Call them projects.
And from there,
essentially.
Yeah, assignments will live, like each like client will have a folder full of their assignments, and from that folder they can like put it into courses. And so when an update's made in their shell, it updates in all their courses. They made an error on an assignment or something. With that, like we don't do that currently. So essentially, the user, if somebody teaches in 6 sections, they have to go into each section and now update each file 6 times essentially.
Gotcha.
But for like this would like benefit the user experience and make it easier for them. But like the way that we would handle that, it would change a lot of that data, and it's I guess essentially like how would that migration happen, or that a change like that happen without
right?
I guess downtime would be involved to an extent.
Maybe,
but
because So what I'm hearing you talking about is definitely more focused on the data changes, the data structure changes. So right now you don't really have a way to say, here is a course, and then that course lives in one place, or sorry, not course. Here's an assignment, and that assignment lives in one place. Here are a whole bunch of courses, and that assignment can be with any of those courses, right?
Correct.
So right now you just have, here's a course and here's all of the assignments for this course. Here's another course, here's all of the assignments for that one. Some of those assignments in course 2 are the same as in course 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that, again, that's data structure. That's not really telling me anything about the application monolith kind of situation that's going on.
That's fair. So I guess like the application monolith, or this project of just like migrating, where we know like a change like that's going to have to be accounted for after the migration. So do we build it in now? But if we build it in now, when we're how does that migration, or how does that change like go into effect? How do like big data model changes
Yeah, like, well, it's
work?
definitely that. So if you have a monolith, like a true monolith, that means all of your data classes, all of your DTOs that would get stuff from a database or wherever you're getting your data from, exist in the same solution as the application itself, right?
Yep. We're currently a big old .NET framework MVC 5.
Yeah. And so going from that to a service-oriented approach, you're essentially creating a project that says, give me everything related to courses or all of your getters for data related to a specific domain. And again, that is just a lift and shift where whatever the existing functionality is, whatever the existing methodologies are for getting that data, that goes into its own project. And then you can essentially or eventually break it out into its own solution if you wanted to, make it its own NuGet package if you wanted to, but for now, leave it all in the yeah, I guess that is one more question I have. Do you have multiple projects in that solution and you're calling that a monolith, or is it still just one CS
One
proj?
class library and one MVC project. The class library is like tiny.
Okay.
Some things get used in it, but like it's just a class library.
Yeah, so it has a whole bunch of Pocos in it, I'm guessing then? Is that where your
I will
models are in
assume
that
the
class
answer is
library?
yes.
Okay.
Some models are in there. It's kind of hard to say for sure. I think it was essentially created after the fact. So a
Okay.
lot of the core functionality, like in the MVC, like there's a whole bunch of models, but there are some. I would say it's a utility library. So
Okay. All right. So it's more
data
like
access and stuff like that.
yeah, cool. Then definitely the places that I would start with it are taking your entire database accessing stuff and put that into its own set of projects. Right now I have them in solution folders in the financial management application that we do on the stream. But this could again be in its own solution. It could make a NuGet package, especially since it's not expected to be updated very often. And that way you can version it and then use whatever version with the app. So that would probably be a good place to start, is getting all of your everything that's related to accessing data into its own solution or set of projects in the same solution even. So that means all of your models, because your models possibly could be used in both the front end and the back end. So in the thing that you display for your pages and in the portion that you get data from your database. So that would be one of the projects. And then the other one would be the thing that actually accesses the data from the database. If you're using a repository pattern, that means your layer that has all of your get, put, post, or CRUD operations for each of your tables or each of the types of data that you're expecting to get. If you're using the same type of approach that I use, then for me, that's my shared server project. And this is what I call my services, but these are the things that go and do the entity framework queries to get back whatever type of data that I want and turn it into my front-end models, which is kind of repository-ish.
Now, a lot of the times I hear like move it to standard, then to core, or shave off the core. But is that the optimal approach when breaking apart an application, rather than just saying like create a web API for this one piece and then like plug it into your current application per se.
Right. So with the things that I was talking about, since they're the database stuff is essentially just class libraries, that would be an instance where making a .NET standard app out of your models project, for example, could be good if you aren't using anything that lives outside of .NET standard for your regular models. Which, you know, now that I mentioned that, I could have probably done that with this. I'm not using anything that's .NET Core specific.
Oh, in fact, you can just show me how the migration works when you do that in this project.
Yeah.
I'll just copy what
I
you
mean, like
do.
for me, I think that would be as simple as having this thing target net standard 2, or I guess net standard 2.1. And provided that still builds, I think that's all that I have to do to get this one to work that way. It's not going to build. So there's probably things that do access.
Go ahead.
Oh, wait, what? Oh, global using. No global usings in net standard. That's fine. That's fine. Is that true? Can I still use Lang version?
Now with, let's see, like order of operations. So currently we're waiting on the requirements to do the data modeling for any like changes. Like currently we're approaching it as like the shift's just gonna happen in 6 months. I like we have that hasn't fully been decided, but that's just kind of like the operating procedure right now. However, like getting users to test it and know that like, you know, something major isn't broken doesn't really exist when you do that. But in this approach, we're waiting on the requirements to get the data, to start the data modeling. However, at some point, I feel like when it comes to like thinking about the user experience, we would only know that from having like a mock-up design. But should that just happen after the data modeling? And then just change like, you know, we're like, oh, like say like the assignment thing I was talking about, where, you know, instead of like you have to control it for each course, you control it once and it updates for each course.
Right.
Say like we didn't think, like I didn't, or we didn't think about like implementing that yet, but then after we have some like mock-up, we're like, oh, this could be better because they could just change it here. Is it easier to create a mock-up based on the data modeling, or should the mock-up come after the requirements and before the data modeling for any changes that are thought of?
Yeah, and that's a really, really good question, because I had to make that decision when we started the financial management tracker. And so what I started with was thinking through what this app should do. You already know what your app does. So when I think about what this app should do, that's how I'm structuring my database. That's how I'm coming up with my database design first. And then I am sketching out my CRUD screens or my maintenance screens or whatever else needs to be done. So for me, it's data first and then UI, but that's just because I don't like doing UI. And it's like, I can think better that way when it's like, here's the functionality of the app, here's the data that I'm going to need for that functionality, here's the UI in order to interact with that data. But I'm trying to think about this as you have an existing app, you're not starting from ground zero. Are you guys planning on doing a lot of UI changes? Is that the thing as well?
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
Okay, so you're doing data changes, you're doing UI changes, so it's pretty much a new app that you're creating, and you're just using existing data.
has the same purpose. Yeah, has the same purpose. If anything, it's better because we're taking in all the UX, like all the support tickets that I get. I'm like, this is just a UX issue half the time. So I'm like, okay, like let's make this easier, you know. But we don't have like a PM. We don't have like the leader part where that person is like, oh yeah, like these are all the things that should.
Yeah, here's all the
happen, or, like,
items.
they
Here's
spend
how
the
we're
time
splitting up
figuring
the
it out.
work. Right.
Like right now, so like they scheduled basically a meeting every day for 2 hours, and right now, like for the past week, we've been talking about like authentication, authorization, and I'm just like, everything like I've learned about it, like the bare minimums, make it sound like you just use something that already exists, as far as like whatever, you know, .NET provides. But it sounds like I just tell them like I'm here to learn for this conversation. However, it sounds like it's being like created from scratch. I don't want to say like created from scratch, but it really feels like that because we're not talking about using like whatever identity service that, you know,
is already there.
you name,
Yeah,
like
I mean,
any identity
especially if you're going to
provider.
.NET Core, because it's not going to be the same process.
Yeah, our current one is handled it on the base model, essentially. I don't know how to explain it outside of if you if say like you're currently assigned to role one. Role one has these specific privileges. You open up a new tab, you change that one to role two, you go back to the role one tab. You can't complete the operations that role one. You can't, like, even if it's on the user interface currently, you can't do that because like in the base model, your role has switched, and but that's happening like within the MVC project, and so like whatever we switch, like we're gonna have like actual, I guess, like real authentication and authorization. But I don't know, it sounds like we're straying away from an identity provider, question mark. I mean that's what it sounds like to me, but
yeah, I'll answer that for you. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, okay. Here's my recommendation then. The first thing to do is, because like you definitely have a whole bunch of things going on in your head at the same time, write out all of the parts and pieces of the app. I guess in broad strokes is really what I mean, not really all of the parts and pieces. So authentication is one of the parts and pieces. Authentication. The UI itself. So the thing that the users interact with. Database, database. And then parts of the database are the models. Like, do you know if you are using Entity Framework? I forget if you said that.
Currently we are not. We are like the data.
Are you just
service,
using SQL Client?
I should be able to answer this question. It's in services. It's in somewhere. There's like a data service.cs file, and it's not. I know it's not using Entity Framework. Data service. I assume I could just look at the packages at the top.
Yeah, probably. So you'll probably have either system.data something or Microsoft.data.
and system.data and then system.link, but I don't know if links be.
Yeah,
well,
link can just be used anywhere.
It's not grayed out. Yeah.
So essentially what I'm getting at is you are not maintaining or doing any kind of database work using code. You're doing it all in your database. And who is your database provider? Is it SQL, Postgre?
Azure SQL.
SQL. Okay.
Azure SQL, yes. So it's like a pseudo
So a consideration would be to maybe reverse engineer your database using Entity Framework if you are going to go to .NET Core, especially because that's going to make it super duper easy to do your data changes as well. The hard part is going to be not losing data when you're making big structural changes to like split out or set up new relationships, unless the database itself is structured decently already.
I would say it's structured pretty well. I mean, I understand it, and that was like the easiest thing for me to understand. Yeah, I'd say it's structured pretty well.
Okay, so reverse engineer / scaffold your database. And there's some really cool, one especially really easy tool to use to do that, which is called, you have Core Power Tools. So definitely, why isn't it installed in this? Weirdo. EF Core Power Tools is an amazing extension in Visual Studio where you can provide it your database connection string, reverse engineer your database into here's your DB context, here's your models, here's your Fluent API that describes your database for you. So it does all of that for you. And now you have a project that you can use in code first migrations from that point on. So database structure changes, model changes, all of that can be done using C# code. Do it in a development environment, make sure that it all works. And then if you still have a database person that says all database changes need to go through me, then you can script your changes that you made in code, give that to the person, and then they can optimize it for the database itself. Make it whatever they want it to be. But anyway, so we found...
Goes through... Oh, I was going to say just everything goes through Sprock from this file.
Oh yeah, okay.
So every time there's a change in this file, I have to go create the stored procedure.
Which is great because even if you are changing your data structure, your overall result from the stored procedure is going to give back the same model. So your underlying tables and stuff, you can change them, update your stored procedure, but your stored procedure typically returns the same shape of data. So that's a good approach. I like that.
Interesting.
What else did we talk about? You talked about needing to, so the database also needs to possibly be restructured. But again, like, do you have an assignments table and a courses table, and then the courses relate to the assignments?
Yes, in the assignments table, there's the class ID, course ID. The unique identifier for each course is associated there. So, I mean, yeah, that's where it's kind of like messy, I would say, where it's like a one-to-many. Yeah, I think it's it's a one-to-many.
Yeah, where one assignment can be in many courses.
Exams.
Oh, yeah. So not that way. So it's only one course, many exams, but not one exam, many courses.
That will be the way we basically want to shift it that way. So it's currently one course, many exams.
All right.
Yeah.
So example, e.g. courses, exams, change.
Well, it'll still be one exam, many courses. Like many courses will have multiple. Well, I guess is that many to many?
Yeah. So if an exam can be, you can use the same exam in different courses, and then one course has multiple exams, then it's definitely many to many.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Hello, Peter, who's on a call. Thanks for the AFK.
I was ready to get berated. But I haven't had any technical issues. That's why he's not here.
Okay, so what I am kind of doing, let me see if I can do this in a safe way. Safe for stream. SFS way. I have a whole bunch of notepad tabs open. So I used to like not have any new unsaved notepad tabs, but that kind of changed because a lot of stuff happened in the past 3 weeks, but that's fine. So step 1 is find all of the parts and pieces that are going to need to be a part of this migration process. So you brought up authentication. You brought up some UI stuff that's going to need to be changed because you want different ways for instructors to be able to maintain the exams or admins to be able to do full. Yeah, how's that going to work? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
You'll answer those questions.
They're currently talking about like going with a JS platform.
Okay.
For that, specifically Vue, and so it's a spa. So it's going to change how like pages are no longer being refreshed, and stuff like that.
That's one of the things to consider. Oh, there was something. Oh yeah. So then the actual data restructure, what that sounded like to me is not only do you have database changes that need to be made, but the app, when it gets data, groups it together in a way that you find difficult to maintain or would need to be changed when you split this up, maybe. So app models specifically. And then the solution / repo architecture. So how to split up existing solution, which is just MVC project plus shared class library utility project utility Freudian slip into services oriented projects. And then the other thing is when you're saying microservices, do you actually mean having one API per domain essentially? I keep wanting to call them domain.
In the most recent picture that was shared with me, yes. Essentially, there's a API for authentication. There's an API for yes, but I'm not sure if like that's how it should be. Our solution architect consultant guy said like, yeah, that'll work. But he's also been saying like, but I also like need y'all to know that you need the requirements before I can actually give you like a really good opinion on this.
Okay.
But yeah, there are going to be multiple APIs. Basically, yeah, this will be broken up into multiple APIs, and I think it's by domain, if I understand domain correctly.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm not necessarily using all of the terms the correct technical way, but what I mean by domain is like area of related functionality. So exams would be one domain. Courses might be a separate domain, or just the overall courses
it wouldn't
would
be broken
include
up
exams.
into like that. It wouldn't be broken up, I guess, that like that. However, well, I guess should or shouldn't, it's always one of those like it depends.
Okay.
But I wouldn't.
Right. President not sure has
I don't think any of us. Business functionality.
Yeah, so one domain here could be your business functionality, which includes everything to do with managing your instructors, your courses, your
it would
exams.
essentially be like that. We'd be breaking up like one small piece of it into its own because that's like a high usage service. So like say like every student submitting their exam to be graded at the same time, like we're gonna be breaking up the grading part to be, so that alone can scale out. But outside of that, I mean, just like users navigating through the website and creating an exam and changing their password or everything else would probably live within one service.
Oh, so changing password
API
would also be in this business functionality.
That could fall under auth. Maybe that was an awful example.
I mean, it's totally okay. It's just a consideration to make. Like if you put it under the auth API, for example, that means that you have one endpoint where you do login, log out, but also /manage, which is how the current scaffolding gets set up for you.
Okay. Now the way that I thought would be the wise approach with this was to take everything we currently have in our MVC project. And I'm reiterating MVC for the next part. Basically handle all the views via a front end anything. I'm actually cool with Blazor these days. And then the M and C part handle in a web API. Because if I were to put it in like a very
M is your shared
basic way, if I were to put it in a basic way, like to me a web API is the MC of the MVC, and then our front end would handle the V to an extent. To an extent.
I mean, yes, and so like I guess MVVM would be the better answer or the better description of it. But you are still going to have controllers because you're going to have an API, so it's like MVVM-C, where the M part of it is the actual database or C# code representations of your database data. And then the VM is all of the models that are used for displaying data to the user, along with the logic. Potentially, if you're using MVVM, the logic for getting them populated, hydrating them. I'm not a
we are
fan
using
of that.
MVVM. Well, I have view models, so I assume we're using.
Well, I mean, like the way that I use the term view model in mine is this is something that I am hydrating with data that is going to be displayed to the user, but it doesn't know how to get its own data from the database, how to request its own data. I use services for that, so that would be more of a MVC type of approach with services. I think James Montemagno calls it MVVM-S, where it's still kind of this view model approach, but the view model is a dumb view model. It just holds data, and then you use services to hydrate those data.
Gotcha.
Yes, Tukasoft data. President Nashir saying, I prefer to keep controllers as essentially dispatchers, keeping much of the logic out of them. Yes, definitely dumb controllers as well, and make them available in services. So I am just like, I'm going to keep preaching this architecture, even though I might not have split the projects up 100% correctly or efficiently. But I have if I'm going to use a backend API, I have my API project that has controllers. And those controllers, the only thing they do is pass the HTTP request to some kind of service. and then that's that service is the thing that has all of the business logic, but it's the same interface for both the client side and the server side. So I have one account service that is an iAccount service that's implemented for, if you're running this on a client side, you're going to do a HTTP request. If you're on the server, you're the API that received it, then you're going to do the database query and return the actual data itself, or whatever server-side stuff you do. Whiteboards are remarkable. Chalkboards are chalky.
So is this essentially, I don't know. I don't think I'm at the part in my career where I can fully understand domain-driven design. However, what I'm seeing in your code and what I've seen from, you know, our Lord and Savior and also era of Chat GPT is when I ask it to like just create the initial project solution structure, it separates it out, I think, like this.
Mm-hmm.
Where there's,
yeah,
they use words like core and then entities and then,
oh yeah. So
most
core for me would
WordPress
probably
library.
be shared server.
I think
Maybe.
core was the data gridder.
Yeah, but
Or
like, I mean, you can see here, I even have the entity framework migration code first approach for my database in its own set of projects. I would normally have this in its own solution even, and I would have it create a NuGet package, 2 NuGet packages actually, one for just the database models that you can use in the front end and back end, and then one for the actual database connector, so the DB context stuff.
Okay.
That you only use on the server. Stop looking at my code, best tip I can give you. So just the overall architecture that I think it's just versatile. Again, I mentioned him in the last stream, but Patrick God uses a very similar approach to this, but I think he also uses repository pattern, which means for every table, you're also creating the CRUD operations for them. And I'm like, Entity Framework kind of does that for you already, so I don't need to redo that. The only difference is sometimes I do have application specific models, which again, like I said, I'm calling view models that will turn my database models into the thing that I'm using to populate my UI. So that's a big step here, which is deciding on how you want your solution to be architected itself. So when you are writing code, where do you put each of the things, including your authentication? Does that, like, you have your authentication backend, but where do you put your authentication UI or your authentication service? That kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Great question. Hopefully they just give me the small projects so I can learn.
Dukasoft and I are the same person sometimes. Obviously. But when to actually, what was I gonna put here? I don't know what I was gonna put there. It had to do yes, when to anyway, so here's the reason that I have this here is because I'm thinking that you have all of the stuff in your head that you have an idea that needs to get done.
Roughly.
But you don't have anything concrete that you can grab onto and say, here are all the steps, because like you said, you don't have a project manager that's doing this.
Yeah,
So,
the list of requirements is still being worked on.
yeah, and regardless of list of requirements, this is a very general approach. It's like, for any application that has these components, how do I structure it?
Okay.
So you have an app, you know what its current functions at. Whoa, how do you word? You know how it currently functions. And so you're essentially just saying, what are the parts and pieces of this app? Ignoring the fact that you have one MVC project and one shared utilities class library. It's like, when I'm looking at this app and I see the functionality that the user is currently able to do, what can I say they're able to do? They can log in, so we need some kind of authentication stuff. They can interact with the UI in some way, shape, or form. But you also mentioned that we might be going from whatever we're currently using, which is MVC with Blazor pages, markup, syntax stuff, to maybe a JavaScript framework, which is completely okay. Again, you know that you have a database. How do you manage the database? How do you query the database? Are you going to update that? The actual models being used in the application. I'm trying to think through all of the things that you mentioned, which prompted me to start this list. Wasn't there at least one more?
There was one that you highlighted, data restructuring, which was like the assignment one. I think this is correct. I mean, yeah. I think, I don't know what I think. My biggest thing so far has just been like, can we get this written down in a project management way where we can actually plan it out? So we can like get started, but also know that we're all on the same page, because it's hard with two people and then an outside front-end person when we're teaching the outside front-end person how the platform works in general. Interesting. But no, I mean, even super helpful. I didn't want to take up this much time because I enjoy Figma UX stuff 10 times more.
I'll be doing that on Monday and Wednesday, and today is specifically for you. Only you. I don't know about determine the dev efforts and what can be done without, or what can currently be done. So what I mean by this is, go ahead.
I think I know what you mean, but go ahead.
So you have all of the parts and pieces that you need to do some kind of work on, and keep building this out until you have a complete list, but try to stop your TI as soon as you can. So the next thing to do is, you have limited information right now, you're waiting on requirements, but is there anything you can start doing, like splitting your existing code base into these separate projects, or creating a brand new project, at least a proof of concept, that does some of these things up here? Like create a new API that will handle your authentication, and only that. Using your existing systems. Yeah, that kind of thing. Or create one new project that has an API backend that does your course maintenance services, and then make a UI in Vue, in Blazor, whatever you're going to use to do that maintenance on exams and courses. What would that experience look like?
Okay, no, that makes sense. And then that way I don't have to sit on my hands, or I guess we don't have to sit on our hands.
Yeah.
Because I can't help in the off conversation currently, or at least like if I can, like not in the way we've been discussing it, but I'm just like, hey, like if 2 hours of my day are going to a meeting, like I would like to have some sort of productivity in here. Because I mean that's just a long time for a meeting, you know. Okay, yeah, no, I will. I have a lot of this written down. Yeah, no, this has been super helpful. I'm sure next week I'll have more.
Yeah, I mean, once you get started in it,
Um,
that's when you're gonna be
yeah.
like, oh, these are my actual questions. Because you don't know. Like right now,
Yeah,
I'm
I mean
integrating.
everything.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say everything that I've learned so far that kind of handles like bits and pieces, or goes over like bits and pieces, from like various C# .NET learning things. It feels somewhat easy, but I trust my senior dev enough when he's just like, we gotta wait. But he's also just been working in frameworks for this whole time, and I learned a lot of the stuff in .NET Core. Oh, this is my final question.
Okay.
Start on
It
6
doesn't
or
have
just
to
start
be,
on
but
8?
yes.
Well, just start on 6 or start on 8, because 8 gets released next month?
Yes. Yep. November.
Um.
Or at least that's the hope.
Oh. Well, yeah.
I
Knowing
mean,
that
it's
like we
like
have 6
pretty
months,
much
like
guaranteed, but yeah. Who knows what
I
will
assume
happen.
like most things will be fleshed out. When I was like playing around with .NET 8, they made like big enough changes, and there's no documentation for like trying to do something with Docker. I think like it was like Blazor. The one thing I was trying to do for this project was just like say, hey, like I don't think this is going to be too difficult, and so I was going to create an imitation of how like the various pieces would work in our cloud in Azure, but just using Docker because I don't have to spend money that way. A very rough imitation, but essentially like spin up containers where it's like these live in these containers, these would be our various services. But with .NET 8, it was more difficult than I thought it would be, because they made changes that where the current documentation doesn't reflect, in a way. But yeah, start on 6 or just go ahead and go to 8, since
I mean,
it's
if
official.
you are not anticipating doing a release by the time .NET 8 comes out, then you may as well do .NET 8 preview. But if you are still planning on doing releases between now and then, definitely .NET 6. But I mean, if you're already changing your yeah, if you're already changing,
I don't think code's going to be written by next month. So
if you're changing your framework already, like even before splitting out your code, because that is the other thing that needs to be on here. Target framework. So right now you're on .NET Framework 4.x, 4.8.x hopefully. But if not, probably 4.5.
No comment.
X.
We had a TLS issue for a reason.
The actual .NET migration is going to be its own effort. Don't treat that as part of this microservices split.
Okay.
Because if you think about the migration from .NET Framework to .NET Core, you are going to start implementing some of the project structure that you would get from a microservices split. But if you think about it as I'm just trying to go from .NET Framework to .NET Core, then you're more thinking about the code base itself as opposed to the architecture, the data, all of that stuff. So in this case, you're just keeping the data the same. All of your models are pretty much the same. The only thing that you're switching out are libraries that are not .NET Core friendly. And then your authentication, which I'm pretty sure is going to change a lot going from .NET Framework to .NET Core.
Absolutely. And it needs to, because like today I was trying to find the least complicated way to integrate a CMS, or basically a knowledge base, our support ticketing system, and then our knowledge base like directly into the portal or into our like app. And unfortunately, the only way I can do single sign-on is by having an identity provider, because we have documentation that like specific roles will need access to access, or you'll need a specific role to access it. And then my senior dev was like, I don't want to handle the UI part, so can we just like link them, send them to the portal, or send them to this knowledge, like third-party knowledge base? And I was like, if we could use single sign-on, or we have to make them create an account, or we do it the lazy way and just set like on our side, we split it up into 2 knowledge bases and then link them depending on their role. But that feels
right.
yeah.
That does feel what you were gonna say. Word that neither of us could probably come up with off the top of our head.
In a way, not secure.
Redundant work.
Yeah. And if we need an identity provider at some point, like it's a good consideration to make. I like my answer for the long term is like actually handle the UI, but we don't have that UI process down fully, where like we don't have like a marketing department to be like, hey, like we have the marketing person, but we don't have that UX person to say, hey, like, you know, these are the buttons. We don't have the design system and stuff like that, which is why I actually like don't necessarily want to go towards a spa, because we're gonna have multiple actual websites, and it'd be nice to just have one design library or one like component library shared between multiple things, and the other websites will need what's it called, SEO, so they'll need server-side rendering, stuff like that. And a spa isn't, you can do it, but you should just use a different tool.
Yeah. And like right now, the Blazor web app project template, I think is somewhat SEO friendly, because you can have your landing page and a whole bunch of your public facing pages render statically if they don't have any dynamic content, or at least render the content itself for search engines. So like it's essentially just either server rendered or static that will allow you to do SEO with this type of
yeah, they brought SSR into web app technically. And from what I was reading on it, I like the way they do it. I mean, they're behind the 8 ball on some of the JavaScript ones, but like it's fine because everything else we use is already C#. So I liked what I saw with like Blazor web app specifically. Right. Whereas like if it needs to be dynamic, then it can be, but that doesn't prevent you from having to handle the SEO stuff. Because like my first like experience in the workforce was marketing. So every time I think about anything, I'm like, how is this going to affect marketing? So when they said spa, I was like, no, sir, like we can't do that everywhere. So do we want to use multiple frameworks, or do we just want to like not use? and use something like Blazor that can handle ball or it can handle like the dynamic parts when it needs
Blazor
to, but it can also
WebAssembly
handle all these
is,
other
yeah.
things. True, there is also WebAssembly, but
what I meant is Blazor WebAssembly is the one that's most difficult to do. And again, I'm specifically talking about SEO because I think I heard you say SEO specifically.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to do that with Blazor WebAssembly because the only thing that really gets served is index.html. And then the app loads into that and then it's running. But during one of the .NET 8 Blazor talks, Dan was showing where the DOM itself would update and you would see HTML content as it was navigating through. So it might be better now.
Okay. But is web app essentially just the two combined where they're like, hey, like
yeah, well, I mean it's either or. So you could do the Blazor server rendered only, you could do Blazor WebAssembly only, you could do both available where you control when it switches, which components are done using Blazor WebAssembly, which ones are done using Blazor server, or you can let it automatically choose. So if the .NET runtime has already been downloaded, use Blazor WebAssembly. If it hasn't yet, use Blazor server and then download the .NET runtime in the background. And then the next time you use it. Yeah. But anyway, this was really cool. I really liked talking with you about this, but we are coming up at the end of the stream. So do you have
you're good. I pushed the meeting back 30 minutes. Yeah. Peter still needs you to stick around after the call. We got to circle back on some of those deliverables. But no, I don't have anything else. Thank you.
I love it though. Yeah, I forgot that we end with stand up. But yeah, I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for the conversation, for the time. And you know that we are always available, I say. You know that we have a Discord channel where people like to be helpful. So definitely feel free to do that. Yeah. Those were your last words, so? Anything else? Just need Peter after the call?
No. Join the Discord. I'm a man of few words. I have nothing to self-promote.
All right.
And I just like to bully Peter. Well, not bully. Bullying's not allowed. I like to bother Peter.
You like to do friendly banter with Peter. Got it. Even though he's probably not listening anymore because he went AFK. But yeah, okay then. So I guess that'll bring us here. You get a shout out too. You get a shout out. You get a shout out. But yeah, that brings us to the end of our stream. Like I've been saying in the past, it's pretty easy to decide who to raid on Mondays and Fridays, even though on Mondays I've been moving to Big Gaming now. But I do like to support a varied number of people. And right now, I'm going to be hanging out in both Finite's and Solo Solips's stream, and then when Irish John starts in his stream as well. But yes, Han Solo is where we're going to go, just because it's easy for me to do. But so Solo Solipsist is a mixed reality developer. Solipsist. And he's working currently with a HoloLens on his head. So we're gonna go over to his channel, hang out with him there. Again, I'll be there, I'll be on Finite's channel, and I'll be doing my day job at the same time. So I'll be kind of split personality. I mean, split attention is what I meant to say. Same, I'm always split personality. The High Tactics, you're welcome for the stream. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I'll be back again on Monday. We'll continue our journey through doing some Figma UI work. like actual UI stuff. I'm gonna keep watching some more videos on UI design, the right approach, the right way to use Figma. But kind of hard to do when I'm lurking on people's streams and wanting to hear what they're talking about. It's harder to take in information. My hand is waiting. Woohoo, UI stuff! Yay! It's just as good as my Dutch pronunciations. Oops. Anyway, that's it for me for now. I hope you enjoy your weekend. I'll post this video to YouTube no sooner than 24 hours after I end the stream. Okay, bye.